I'm pretty sure that most of us have felt like this at least once in our life, or at least at one point in our life, feeling like you're constantly chasing an impossible standard. Like, no matter how hard you try, you're just quite never good enough. Today, we're confronting that perfectionism that might be keeping you from having that inner peace, holding you back from truly enjoying your life, going after your dreams. If you often find yourself trapped in cycles of endless tweaking or battling that fear of failure, that inner critic, you're not alone. So many of us struggle with perfectionism, often without even realizing it, or without even realizing its impact that it has on our daily lives and overall happiness. I never really identified as a full on perfectionist, but there certainly are a few areas or a few times in my life where I had tendencies towards it. This is why first, let's understand how perfectionism shows up in our lives and how we can know that we are acting from a perfectionism point of view. And it's not just about wanting to do well, it's a deeper, more pervasive drive that can affect everything from our work to our relationships to our self-esteem to so many things. Some common signs could be relentless self-criticism, procrastination due to the fear of failure, or setting unrealistic high standards for yourself and even others. To give you a real life perspective example, I share a story about a time when when my perfectionism sabotaged my dreams and goals, and how recognizing these patterns was a turning point for me. Back when I started my health coaching business after I got certified, it was unfortunately in 2020 when the pandemic also came up. So many people started going online that, well, took advantage of people and that were maybe better marketers than coaches or whatever business they were in. So I would first of all be scared to be seen as such person, or also to be seen as not good enough. So I was obsessed with creating that perfect image for my clients and follower. And this drive for perfection was deeply rooted in my fear of being judged or deemed unqualified or being seen as those imposter scammers and whatnot. I believe that every post or whatever I share needed to be perfect. I thought everything from the visuals to the captions had to be crafted perfectly to reflect the ideal version of myself, or the ideal professional version of myself. But this need for perfection started to paralyze me. I would spend hours, maybe sometimes even weeks, overthinking a single post. I would draft captions, edit them obsessively, compare my content to other people online, especially to those that I look up to, and worry about every possible or every negative outcome or feedback that I could potentially get. And let me tell you, more often than not, I didn't end up posting at all. I just thought that it's not good enough, and I wasted so much time. My fear of failure due to that perfectionism thinking made me overthink my online presence to the point where my voice was silenced by my own expectation. And if in the past I would have not had those perfectionism thoughts, I'm sure I would be more far advanced, because now I am doing many things without trying to be perfect, and just, yeah, with more realistic standards. And it goes so much easier for myself. But nowadays, of course, it's harder to grow. I mentioned that already, and that's not the point for today. But as you can see, because of my perfectionism thinking, I kept myself stuck more often than not. I didn't post, I didn't take action. But luckily, over time, I realized that my pursuit of perfection was actually a barrier to my success, to my authenticity. And I was so worried about crafting that perfect post that I was missing out on genuine interaction and the opportunity to truly connect and help people what it is all about. That realization, luckily, was a wake up call. And I began to shift my focus from being perfect to being present, from being perfect to taking action no matter what. And gradually, I started to embrace that those imperfections in my posts, understanding that authenticity resonates so much more than a polished perfection, because we all are not perfect, and trying to portray something that no one is, it's kind of like, yeah, not a good thing to do, right? But to get there, I had to work on my own expectation and also build the self confidence in myself. And I guess what also helped me is becoming a mom and finally fully realizing how the beginning of everything, or at the beginning of everything, we're meant to struggle, we're meant to suck, we're meant to make mistakes. And no one starts being perfect at something. Everybody has gone through that journey. Everybody we look up to that seems to be so good at something that we want to do has started as well. And maybe they started earlier, and that's why they're already far ahead. And they started, they made mistakes and they progressed. They weren't ashamed of their mistakes. They learned from their mistakes. That's what we should actually do instead of trying to be perfect. And breaking free from perfectionism doesn't mean lowering your standard. It actually means setting healthier ones, more realistic ones. That's why I want to give you some practical steps to help you recalibrate your expectation and mindset to set those healthier, more realistic expectations and goals. So, first of all, focus obviously on progress and not perfection. Focusing on progress means setting realistic, achievable goals that value improving, that value learning over achieving a perfect outcome. So, mistakes are wanted so that we get better. And when it comes to our health goals, it could look like, for example, instead of aiming to have the perfect workout every time, you might set a goal to simply be more active each week. Or instead of trying to stick to a perfect diet plan, why not set a goal to incorporate more whole foods into your meals each week? This shift helps you appreciate the journey of health or any journey, acknowledging every step forward, no matter how small. Because remember, it's about feeling better each day and not achieving perfection overnight, especially when it comes to your health. And then moving on to challenge your perfectionist thoughts. So when you notice yourself thinking, if this isn't perfect, I'm a failure. If this isn't perfect, I might as well give up, or whatever thoughts you have, pause and gently ask yourself, is this really true? Or if you catch yourself thinking, for example, this presentation isn't perfect, I'm a failure, you would challenge this by asking, what evidence do I have to support his thoughts? What evidence do I have that it's true? Is it really, am I really a failure just because this presentation or whatever you do isn't perfect? Or not that I just don't think so, but I know it's not like that. You're not a failure just because something is not perfect, because again, no one is perfect. And we're all in this journey together of becoming better at something. Yes, some people are very much far advanced, but they also been in your shoes at one point. Instead of seeing a less than perfect outcome as a failure, view it as a valuable part of your journey of your learning and growth. It's all about shifting our perspective to foster compassion towards ourselves, allowing ourselves to grow, allowing ourselves to make mistakes and thrive without the stress and anxiety that come with perfectionist thoughts. A book that helped me with that was Mindset by Caroline Dweck. She really talks about the importance or how a growth mindset looks like. So it's really people with a growth mindset. They almost want to make mistakes in order to get better. They aren't ashamed of their mistakes. They know that mistakes are a part of our journey. They always try to find ways in order to get better. Whereas people with a fixed mindset, they kind of think it's all just about talent. Either you have the talent or not, and you cannot really get better at something, or maybe you can, but you can never be really good at something unless you have talent. Moving on to another important reminder is to limit your social media consumption or adjust your social media consumption so that it benefits you. Because social media can be a double-edged sword. It connects us, it makes us be part of people's lives and all of that. But it can also make us feel as if we're not good enough, as if we're falling short, because we see those picture perfect images and videos that people post, the picture perfect life that they share without or with whilst forgetting that everybody has struggles, everybody has problems, but many people just share the good stuff. Of course, why would you want to share the bad stuff if you can share your good stuff? And no one shares the full 24 hours, every single second of their life. Maybe there is, I don't know, but it seems kind of like almost impossible for me. So of course, people choose to only show their good parts of their life, but probably everybody has their own struggles. Of course, different kinds of struggles, but when you go online and compare yourself to what people post online and it makes you feel bad about yourself, it isn't helpful, is it? Let's start to be more intentional about our social media habits to protect our mental health. You can be more mindful of your social media usage by, for example, setting specific times a day to go on social media if that's something that would benefit you, if you feel like you're too much on social media, or maybe by following more realistic, more positive content that uplifts you, that inspires you versus making you feel bad about yourself. And at the same time, muting and unfollowing accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. This way, we can create a digital space that supports our well being, that is beneficial to us, whereas that just stresses us out, that makes us feel negative, that makes us anxious. And as weird as it may sound, embracing imperfection can lead to a much happier, more fulfilling life. And start to enjoy the process. One of the most freeing things you can do for your life or do for yourself is to start enjoying the journey, not just obsessing over the destination or having the perfect outcome. Because when we solely focus on the outcome, we miss out on the beautiful moments and lessons that we learn along the way. And embracing that process means acknowledging that every step, every challenge, every mistake, and even every small victory is a part of your growth. And this also includes to be grateful of every bit of progress you make, because one small step forward is still better than no step at all. And I think that's something, especially people with a fixed mindset have. No, they really want to see the big progress. Otherwise, it's no progress at all. But we always want to focus on that growth mindset, that knowing that every little bit of progress is, of course, progress. I personally wasted lots of memories and or making memories even because I wasn't present in the moments. I was just so negative about myself and trying to be perfect and all of that. So please don't make the same mistakes. The, the pursuit of perfection is not only exhausting, it's also incredibly detrimental to your mental health. The constant stress to strive for an unattainable goal, unattainable standard can not only lead to physical health problems, but also to serious anxiety, serious mental stress. And of course, it can diminish your self worth, your self esteem, your self confidence. And when we learn to accept and even embrace our flaws and mistakes, which we all have, we reduce the pressure that feeds our anxiety, that feeds that inner critic. This acceptance boosts our confidence as we begin to value ourselves not for what we achieve, but for who we are. And wouldn't just think about it, wouldn't life be so much better like that? In my opinion, it would. It would be so much better like that. And it is from someone who achieved freeing themselves from that perfectionism thoughts. Sometimes they still come up, but it's not as before. I'm able to challenge that inner critic and move forward. So life, trust me, is so much better that way. And it's so much more freeing. That actually brings us to the end of this episode. So if this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to start taking action today. Start small, perhaps with one of the strategies that we discussed today, and notice how it feels to let go of the need for perfection. And don't forget to subscribe, share this with someone who might need to hear this message. And also the simple act of pressing the thumbs up button can be so helpful to myself, for helping me grow on here, helping me support, expand my message, help more people, and all of that. Remember, life isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being yourself, doing the best you can. And without this mindset, I wouldn't even have started a podcast, let alone posting on video here on YouTube. I would have never, ever done that. So yeah, let this be a lesson for you as well. Well then, until next time, take care of yourself and keep embracing those beautiful imperfections that make up life, that are present in all of our lives.